Hiya, Chris. Sorry to call you again. Will you let me know that you're okay? We could head down to the court together.
Still nothing? He's not gonna leave you hanging.
Give me an out, though. Saves Phoebe going to court, too.
Look, it's Will that's putting her through this, not you.
It's not how she sees it.
Come on, Chris.
Have you heard from Cristiano?
No, we've been trying him at this. It's no joy.
Without him, there's no case.
No sign of Chris? Well, maybe he saw sense, huh? Decided to do the right thing. How's Mairead?
You know, if I was you, I'd stop talking to me.
I hope you know what you're doing.
Good morning, everyone. Sit down, please. Is the video link to the jury working?
Yes, Judge.
Members of the jury, the accused, William Casey, is charged with the crime of assault causing harm for an attack on his partner, Cristiano San Martin, that took place on the 4th of December 2019. Mr. Casey is also charged with false imprisonment and criminal damage. Members of the jury, it's not my job to convince you to convict Mr. Casey. It's just to present to you the evidence against him. You must then decide, beyond a reasonable doubt, whether he's guilty of these offenses. Judge, I'd now like to call our first witness, Mr. Cristiano San Martin.
I met him in early 2018. We started going out a couple of months later. When his marriage broke down because of our relationship, we moved in together.
Thank you. And you kept a journal during this time?
Yes, a diary.
Right, yes, we'll come back to that. Can you explain the timeline of events that led up to the assault?
It was little things at first. Being jealous, possessive. It got worse in the summer when I started playing football.
The summer of 2019?
Yes. He made me quit the team. I had to stop hanging around with certain friends. I realized he was checking my phone and he was using it to track where I was going. He wanted to control who I saw.
And what happened if you disobeyed?
I would pay for it. He'd get angry.
And when did his angry and controlling behavior turn violent?
Judge, I'm afraid I must object to the way my learned friend is leading his witness.
Now, Judge, I can assure you, my only intention is for this witness, the victim...
The alleged victim.
Quite. To establish what exactly happened and why a charge of assault was brought.
Thank you, Constance. Given the he said nature of this case, I believe we need to hear the witness answer.
You were telling us when Mr. Casey's controlling behavior became violent.
In October 2019, I tried to break up with Will. We were having a row about Mairead and Damien.
That's his ex-wife and her new partner.
Yes. Will hated Mairead being with anyone else. He wanted to wreck their relationship, but it was wrecking ours. We got into such a row about it, and he almost hit me.
What made you think that?
He raised his fist, like this. I ended the relationship, but he begged me to take him back. He promised to get help for his anger.
Judge, I'd like to direct the jury to an extract from Cristiano's diary between the 13th and the 16th of October, 2019. Cristiano, would you mind reading what it says there?
I can't take this anymore. I thought he was going to hit me. I ended it. But then something amazing happened. Will promised to see a therapist. I pray this is the help he needs.
That entry there, 3 days later.
I feel broken. How can this be happening? How can someone in love be so violent? We went to the therapist together. I was really happy that Will wanted to change. But when we got home, he turned on me.
So you were trying to help him. Can you elaborate?
He beat me up. But that was just the beginning. It got worse. He would lash out and then he would beg for forgiveness. Once he tried to pour bleach down my throat. But it's the psychological abuse that breaks you. You have no control. Your life is a prison.
And yet Mr. Casey went to the Gardaí and said he was the victim of abuse. Can you explain that?
He said nobody would believe me. He was a respectable family man who helped sick people.
Thank you. Now, moving on to the beating that left you hospitalized. I draw the jury's attention to the photographs they have in front of them. Exhibit A, the candlestick Will Casey used to bludgeon Cristiano. The smashed phone to prevent a call for help. Also, there's photographs and x-rays showing the injuries Cristiano sustained, which included internal bleeding requiring emergency surgery. Now, we'll be hearing from expert medical testimony later, but Cristiano, I've one final question. Why didn't you leave Will months earlier?
I used to wonder the same thing when I heard about cases like this. But you have no idea what it's like until you are the one being manipulated. I loved Will. I wanted to help him. And he knew how to use that against me. To stamp out the bits of my personality he didn't like. To keep me trapped.
Oh, thank you, Cristiano. I have no further questions for this witness, Judge.
Miss O'Donnell?
I saw you posted there about the Founders meetup. Why don't I come with you?
You're okay.
I want to. Maybe to make up for being so stupid. They say partners welcome.
I'm taking someone else. It's an older crowd. I wouldn't want them seeing you and thinking I'm some sort of sleaze. They wouldn't get what we have.
I'm not sure I do either. Not anymore.
No one is forcing you to be here.
Take whoever you want.
Juliet, can we talk about this later? I'm late to meet this app developer in the station.
Fine.
I'll send you some pocket money. Do something nice and I'll see you later, all right? Bye.
Bye. I know how to make James pay, but I need your help.
Did your wages come through yet?
Oh, maybe that's why my bank card didn't work just now.
Yeah, and I'm overdrawn. Yeah, have a look, will you? It was not the wine last night again.
Man, I wish you'd leave him out of it. He owns less than Orla now, so she's the one calling the shots. You're annoying her.
I'm trying to do what's best for the garage.
That's strange.
Well, you ain't getting paid either, huh?
Must be a bank fault or something.
Or someone's trying to prove a point. We only call Wayne about the wages. This is a new low for Orla.
James, I've been looking everywhere for you. is this?
What are you doing here? I thought we'd said we'd talk later.
I want us to have a real relationship. I can't help it. I'm falling in love with you.
Not here, okay?
Please. I want you all to myself. I'll be good, I promise.
Juliet, you need to leave now.
Not until you say you love me.
Is everything all right?
No, she's upset. She needs to go home.
What did you do?
Nothing. I'm trying to have a meeting.
Are you sure she's not your girlfriend?
Don't be stupid. Go home, will you?
This isn't like Miles again, is it?
Who's he?
Nobody. Nothing. I'm way more into you. When I know something for sure, it's all or nothing, and you're my all now. You're right. We should save this chat for later. I can't wait. Bye.
Was Will your first long-term relationship with another man?
No, I was married in Chile.
And how did your marriage end?
Judge, I'm struggling to see the relevance.
Judge, to understand the relationship, I believe we need to place it in the context of their prior partnerships.
This works both ways, Mr. Sarsfield. Background is important. Go ahead, Mr. San Martin.
My husband died of cancer.
I'm sorry for your loss. So, after he died, you moved to Ireland and set up a catering business with your brother?
What's that got to do with Will?
Please answer the question, Mr. San Martin. I will decide whether they are relevant.
Thank you, Judge. We'll move on. Can you explain how you first met Will's wife?
It was a shock. Will was in hospital after an accident. I met Mairead at his bedside.
Sounds like an eventful relationship. Can you tell me about the time you hit Will with a heavy saucepan?
I was defending myself. He threatened to pour bleach down my throat. I was afraid for my life.
Earlier, you said he tried to pour bleach down your throat. Now you say threatened. Which was it?
He was going to do it.
Just to be clear, Will denies this completely. But you do admit you did hit him with a heavy steel saucepan.
Judge, the witness has admitted acting in self-defense. Oh, and unless my learned friend knows the exact weight of the kitchenware in question, I object to the way in which she's describing it.
Judge, I'm merely trying to ascertain whether rough behavior was a common theme in this relationship from the start.
Judge?
Careful, Miss O'Donnell. The jury will disregard that remark.
My apologies, Judge. Mr. San Martin, the diary you produced as evidence, why didn't you write it in Spanish?
I live here. I wanted to practice my English.
Or could it be that you wanted people to read it?
No, I kept it hidden.
Until you were able to produce it as evidence to accuse Will of assault.
That's not why I wrote it. I had nobody to turn to. He had me under his control. I thought I was going to die.
Can you tell us about the time Will's injury left him on crutches?
He hurt himself trying to kick our bathroom door in.
I must remind you, he claims to have been acting in his own defense. Your other relationships have been quite rough, haven't they?
No.
How did Leandro die?
I told you, he had cancer.
A terrible thing to have to suffer. So, can you explain why Leandro's death certificate says he died of a subdural hematoma? That's a head injury, isn't it?
How could you do this? You know Leandro fell all the time. He was weak.
Mr. San Martin, please sit down.
Judge, this is an outrageous attempt to introduce new evidence through the back door.
Judge, we have a notarized copy of the death certificate, purely for our own information. I can make it available to the court.
It's completely unverified. I mean, there's no witness to corroborate its authenticity.
I agree. The jury must disregard all references to this death certificate. Miss O'Donnell, the introduction of information in this way will not happen again during this trial.
Yes, Judge. My apologies for the misunderstanding.
Please proceed without any more theatrics.
Cristiano, how did you fund your business venture when you moved to Ireland? Bruisers?
Please answer the question.
You inherited the money, didn't you?
Leandro wanted me to have a new life.
And you did very well out of his generosity. I have no further questions for this witness.
Cristiano, did Leandro ever fall when he wasn't in your care? In the hospital, for instance?
Yes, a few times. And he had a bad one at his mother's house. That was towards the end.
I'm sorry to have had to ask. Must be a painful period to remember. Just one final question. Did you keep a diary when you came to Ireland before you met Mr. Casey?
Yes.
And what language was it written in?
English. Ever since I came to this country.
Thank you. No further questions. Judge, I'd like to call our next witness, Mairead Casey.
Orla,
Yeah?
here, we noticed our wages aren't in yet.
Right.
Well, it's just that I'm a bit stuck and I've rent you.
Well, I changed banks, so that's probably it.
Should you not have told us?
Sorry, Ray. Do I have to run it by you?
Does Wayne know?
Well, why don't you ask him? One of your regular phone calls. Is that what you spend your 90 minutes lunch break doing? I can't run a business properly when you undermine me.
You made a show of me.
I was just trying to tell you how much you mean to me.
You went too far.
We have to stop pretending this isn't real. You love me and I love you. I'm not saying we get engaged straight away or anything.
Slow down.
We're a team. Wherever you go, I'll be right there with you.
Tell me about Miles.
There's nothing to it.
Has this happened before?
What? Falling in love, is that a crime now?
Okay, stop it. I need to think about this. And you should too.
Check your bank, you find it all in order now.
I knew Orla had sorted.
She didn't. I got Wayne to sort it. What choice did I have?
To give her a chance, man. Instead, you're causing trouble.
Look, if Orla wants to, make up, let her say that she's sorry. But I won't be holding my breath.
Ray and Doug respond better to sticks than carrots. So if you want their respect, you're just gonna have to put your foot down. Hard. See you later.
Thanks.
Hey!
Hey.
Is everything okay?
So, turns out Wayne has been meddling. Just can't let go, because that would mean yet admitting another failure.
Oh, well, none of us like doing that.
Tried to change our bank. Wayne stopped the switch. Now the lads are convinced I stopped their wages.
Did you?
Well, I didn't double check to make sure that it would be okay. I know, but look, being nice hasn't gotten me anywhere, Sash.
If Carol did that, I'd walk. I'm not saying don't be tough, stand your ground, but don't play dirty.
I was outside the apartment when I heard a fight, and when I walked in, Will had his hand against Cristiano's throat, holding him against the wall.
And what happened next?
I pulled Will off him, and we went to Damien's, my husband.
Right, thank you. I've no further questions for this witness, Judge.
Mrs. Casey, could you please describe your living arrangement at the time this happened?
I was staying with Will and Cristiano.
Even though you were separated, you were living with Will quite happily. We're just trying to establish the facts.
It was for my daughter's sake.
I understand. You care a lot for Phoebe.
Of course.
You relied on Phoebe a lot when you were diagnosed with a mental illness, didn't you?
Judge, I fail to see the relevance.
Indeed. You don't need to answer that.
It's okay. I was diagnosed with mild OCD. I had a relapse during the lockdown. Nothing serious.
Thank you. It doesn't cloud your judgment, then?
Definitely not.
Did you tell Will that unless he pleaded guilty to these charges, you'd say he'd hit you?
It's not as simple as that.
I agree, Mairead. It's very complex. Will is facing serious charges, and we need answers. You're also under oath.
Okay, I said that, but it was in the heat of the moment.
During the course of your marriage, did Will ever hit you?
No.
Was he ever violent towards you or your daughter?
No.
Was he controlling or coercive?
It was his lying that ended the marriage.
If he never raised a hand against you, why did you threaten to make a false accusation to the guards? Mrs. Casey?
I told you he was being manipulative.
So you said. But you were the one threatening to lie if you didn't get what you wanted.
Judge, Mrs. Casey is not on trial here.
Indeed, I agree. Careful, Miss O'Donnell.
Of course, Judge. Mairead, you say you walked in and saw Will assaulting Mr. San Martin.
I heard the fight and I walked in on it.
In your statement, you said you saw Will assaulting Cristiano. Now we hear it was a fight. Please describe how the fight started.
I don't know. I wasn't there at the start.
You weren't there. So, before you arrived, couldn't Mr. San Martin have been assaulting Will?
It's not the way it happened.
But you can't be certain, can you? Mairead, on the 27th of November 2019, did you accompany Will to the local Garda station to report an assault on him by Mr. San Martin?
Will tricked me into believing that he was the victim.
People do get tricked, Mrs. Casey. And if that's the case, is it not possible that it's not Will who's misleading you?
I know what's true.
You may believe you do. But I put it to you once again that you cannot be 100% certain, can you? And in a court of law, where a man's liberty is at stake, we must only deal in certainties. Thank you, Judge. I have no further questions for this witness.
All the jury saw was an unreliable witness. I don't even trust myself now.
At least you admit it.
How do you think I feel seeing you here?
I'm glad you feel bad.
Phoebes, none of us would be here if it wasn't for your dad and his lies.
And it suits you to take a side because you hate Dad.
Darling, you can't let Phoebe or Will or his solicitor get into your head. There is no doubting what Will did.
It's all going wrong. Chris needed me in there, and I blew it. Will's gonna get off. It's my fault.
This thing with Juliet and the other guy she got obsessed with. I need to know what happened.
So ask her yourself.
I like Juliet. Something's up with her.
Please stop running to Wayne. It's only making things worse between us.
Chris, if I didn't think we'd a very strong case, Will wouldn't even be in court. But he is. And thanks to you, justice will be served.